graphite inks and other means. We had a lot of other means, did we? Yeah.
It's a good catch-all phrase.
Yeah, well, I think
I like the title.
Yeah.
It's very textural. The whole show is very textural, don't you think?
Well, you know, also when I went to that space, they had, again, they had something just hanging. It's, I really wanted create something that people would pulling people in to look. And I think we got that there.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a count of how many people should.
Oh, you know, that's.
It'd be interesting to know.
Well, you know, I think these are two things: people who come in and out, or people who look.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are two different counts. You know.
Yeah. You're introducing it to different people who never look, people who look, people who come.
It gives an opportunity to look.
Some of those people that would go into a city hall would not be going in there to see an art exhibition, right?
Yeah, so it's a wonderful surprise. Oh, right. We're doing that, we're supporting that in Palo Alto. And I have to say, more power to them. I hope to keep doing it, because this is a wonderful artist community, and the work is strong. The work is strong. That's another thing. When you're asking me what did I want, I wanted to show strong work. You know, that this is not people just go there to dabble. They really think about what they're doing, they think about what they are addressing, what they want to solve. They're really, you know, it's a problem-solving situation. You know. Maybe we should jump to Marguerite. She was at the beginning.
The two very special watercolors of Kauai. Yes.
Yeah. Are they Kauai? Yeah, I didn't notice that they were Kauai.
Yes.
I think, but you know, again, they stand just, you know, as watercolors. You know, I think it's a very nice little aspect to know that they are Kauai. But she does a very nice job with watercolors. It's a traditional medium, and
very colorful.
Yeah, maybe it would be. I thought it was very nice to start off with a really traditional medium, and so we had. I was going for traditional mediums as well as the objects. You know, I really did foresee that play between more traditional looking pieces and objects to create that pulse in and out. So that's what I was hoping to achieve over there. And how do we create interest? How do we create interest that you just don't walk in and glaze over? You know, by creating just like full stops. You know, a little sentence full stop. You know, just kind of give the power of wanting to go forward, and then something that pops out, and then you go forward, and something pops out.
Yeah, as opposed to something that stops you and sort of. It's puzzling that it's not like this other piece. You know, in most shows.
Yeah, because you know sometimes you know you want one show relate to the next, but they were able to stand by themselves, just alone.
But there was a flow through them for sure.
I mean,
that's why
we still created, worked on that.
That's interesting. I didn't think about the traditional as well as the more. More experimental things. That I was focused on the two-dimensional and three-dimensional. That was flat and popping.
Well, yes,
interplay was well, I guess for me.
Ken, he does just exquisite work with wood, very exquisite work, and. They have this tool element, so he also kind of puts tension between the use of something and the art. The art is the wonderful tension between those two elements. You know, the fine looking at a larger. I think he has handles and just other. He puts a very unexpected shape onto that. But his shapes alone are just fabulous, and that's what appealed to me. Patricia, her, the jazz players,
right,
very active. She really knows how to activate a page and figures, you know, to have these figures relating to each other. That was a really very nice job she did. Really like that piece.
So it was 3 figures. Were they in graphite on blue?
Charcoal and ink. Charcoal and ink. And they really truly dance together. You know, it's not easy to have figures relate to each other. She did a great job. Inge Infante.
That was a charming piece.
Yes. Yeah, I really, she did a wonderful job between, you know, just at the edge of funk or kitsch, you know, but she was able to transcend it really very nicely with that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, she really did a wonderful job with that.
Presenting it on that steel plate.
That steel plate really brought it into the present. Yeah. The dwarf, you know, the dwarf was really the funky thing. You know, the dwarf.
Troll.
It's a troll.
The troll.
Yeah.
I used to have them as a kid.
Yeah, they have them in many gardens. Yeah. She did fine with that. Cristina Velasquez.
With these large bulbous forms with recycled produce bags and
the netting.
Recital. Yeah, that's right.
And the netting.
Yeah. She really, I was very impressed when I visited her studio. I really think she's an installation artist. I don't know if she sees her that way. I mean, she really has really big ideas and big concerns. Yeah. And she really, she translates that beautifully. Yeah. I don't know, you know, her piece. And then, of course, in the show, well, here we have, it was really an exclamation mark, so to speak, because we know we hung low.
Yes.
And I really liked the various strings she used. They were, it was really like a drawing on the wall. It really wanted that element to come through with the strings, to create that a drawing element, really, a drawing with strings, you know. That actually brings me up to your piece. You know, the way the wires were arranged, that was actually also had a drawing element in my mind. I don't know if you see it that way, but
I think there's been a response to the work that I used to draw before I fabricated the work, and somehow I do the reverse then, make a piece that looks like a drawing.
Yeah,
like drawings in a way.
And very much had a drawing quality in my mind.
It brings a pencil to mind, I guess. The whole idea of, you know,
pencil.
Yeah. Like the point of a pencil is where the wire seems to be almost led by a pencil around the piece. You know, it's quite
drawing with wire.
Yeah, drawing with wire. Yeah,
in space.
Yeah, right. Mikhail Gavish. Yeah, that was an interesting studio experience, wasn't it?
Yes. She had installations there as well.
Ethereal,
But, you know, of course, we could not consider those large pieces because I think they were going to go in a show somewhere. But nevertheless, she had quite a number of portraits. And, you know, I was really studying and looking at these portraits, and then somehow I spotted that folio. She had some watercolors in there, and that really, those watercolors, there were a few of those watercolors in there, and that really took my fancy. I really liked that the image. It's such a humble gesture. And I felt it was important to show such a humble gesture in a show. You know, people seem not to be liking to do humble tasks anymore. You know, you have to have a machine for everything. But just take a simple broom and pushing it, and that contemplative. It was very contemplative.
Yes, very low key.
But very emotional. Very emotional. You know. That brings me to another notion that. Something I was really looking for when I would go into the studio, and I think you might have noticed that. I might have said, you know, I was really looking for for charge, just charge. And, yeah. Shall we talk about Nancy's piece?
Right.
Yeah.
There are 2 drawings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. On tracing paper.
I think it's so interesting that you pick drawings from her studio, and because her art is so finished. We think of her art as something other than the process to get to it.
Yes, she really hides the process, doesn't she? She doesn't let you into the process.
Who knew there was a process,
there was a process
with her work.
But actually, yes, I am very interested in process, generally, and I'm sure the show showed that, because there was a lot of process-oriented work there. But in her case, I felt that we were definitely handicapped in the way we could show her paintings, because they need to be very flush on the wall. And because we had that hanging system at City Hall, we could not accommodate those paintings. And that actually, I think, then got me thinking about, I asked her about drawings, and because I had known about her process before, and so I think she reluctantly opened that little folder. She was not so keen, but I think those drawings, just the way she organizes the page, I mean, that's part of her, her finished work, the organization.
The composition, the balance of shapes,
yeah, the balance of shapes. I mean, clearly she, it's a very she really, again, pushes the edge of a very classical artwork, but again, the shape is new, and so the drawings, they really accentuate, as you say, the way she organizes the page. And I think that was interesting for the audience to see, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Very much so, and the tracing paper, because that's part of the process, where I think she does the drawing and then traces it onto her canvas or paper.
Well, it's a
metal. Does she work on metal as well?
It looks like metal, but it's all paper.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's paper, and then of course she has some three-dimensional pieces, and you would actually just the way she applies the paint.
It's the subtlety and the difference in the colors. They're so subtle that there is that.
Yeah, it really it is a suggestion of metal, but it is. She works on paper, so I was really happy to have those drawings in. It was a very calm little moment in the show with the drawings.
I felt like everybody. I felt like every time you walked into someone's studio, you chose something that they were unexpected. It was unexpected, and so it was entertaining to walk in with you, because someone would say, "Well, here's the art that you could choose from," and then you would turn your back and look over there and find something entirely different. So that was.
What about this?
Yeah, I think sometimes it has also something to do with, the way an artist sees him, herself, how they're working, and they might pursue something, but there might be something, in the studio. Sometimes it's just a thought, that they had jotted down, and I think that those thoughts or those little jotting downs, sometimes they come more from the subconscious, and they haven't been out, worked out in, I don't want to call it rationally, but nevertheless haven't been worked out, and so it gives a glimpse of that, it gives a different glimpse, and I'm always looking for that, actually, because I always look for that when I go to studios. And sometimes, let's say if it's a one-person exhibition, I might include, surely we might, we show the major body of work, but then we might include something like that, just to give more insight into the artist, the way she is thinking.
Well, it's fascinating to see how other people see your work. I mean, you don't always get to talk with the person who's looking at your work to find out what is interesting to them, or what they respond to. So having you in the studio responding in front of the artist is interesting.
Yeah, well, you know, I think I'm looking at Nora's name here right now. I think she was very surprised.
We were all surprised.
Yeah, Nora had this, you know, and she probably considered it just a minor piece, you know, sitting there. Her major body of work has to do with like maps and things like that, kind of a bird's eye vision.
Digital photographs of maps or later
manipulation.
Yeah,
She also manipulates
and the North. But you know that small green piece, you know, I mean, really, it feeds into her process, in that it was photographed in a place, so it was really kind of, I mean, it was really kind of a mini, I don't want to say a mini map, but it was a very specific zeroing in a city. It was really a photograph of a city that she took in a city. And then, you know, when she translated to us, she said that when we asked it in Spanish what it meant, I think she said thunder or rain, and el sol, you know, the sun is shining. And I thought it was such a wonderful, positive statement on that green manipulated background.
I think you could create a lot that wasn't necessarily meant to be in the piece, like the green grass being, you know, rained on, and the green becoming more intense.
There is so much there, viscerally, you know. There is so much there in that very simple piece, you know, philosophically, you know.
Right, the green especially,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. And then the idea of, you know, that the sun is shining in the times of tough, you know, so it's
Very positive.
very positive. Marianne's piece, yes, we need to address her piece. You know, her studio visit was very interesting also. You know, I had not seen those pieces, but I understand they were just shown at the Chinen.
She's a fascinating space,
Yeah.
full of stuff.
Yeah, but these address the environment again. Also, this idea of the ocean and those brushes. I thought that was a very interesting idea to put. It don't really connect right off the bat, but it's cleaning up the ocean. I mean, we have now several of these artists addressing problems of the environment. Really, I mean. Julia's piece is there, Linda's,
Christina.
Yeah, well, it's on people's mind, there's no question.
Yes, it's definitely on people's mind. So there is definitely, it's the conscious, you know, it's something, it's a thinking of the times, you know. We're forced to think about it, you know. Eventually, I think we're getting forced to think about that.
And there was the photograph of the ocean in the center of the brush.
Yes, yeah.
And then the plumb line.
The plumb line. The plumb line is a very interesting element there. The plumb line. Could it be a pendulum? Time?
I think of time, that's what I was
Yeah.
It immediately makes me think of a clock.
Yes, definitely, it's a time, you know. It is a time. Time sensitive, yes. All right.
So I was wondering about your thoughts before you go into someone's studio, especially when we were talking about Lessa, because she's a performance artist, as we were kind of thinking. So you must have been thinking, what am I going to find from a performance artist to put on the wall?
Well, I did look at her website, and I will tell you, the video stills were really strong. And at that point, I actually thought I might go for a video still. I actually did. However, she did not have available what I actually had seen, and I think it was the wrong format, and so we just pushed it further. But the idea that she was actually then physically in and with that transformation really intrigued me also. But you're right. In her case, well, first off, because as for a performance artist, that I just I was hoping that I could do something with that, because that's a new element, that's an element, that's, as far as I know, that's really the first time they have a performance artist here at Cubberley, because...
Absolutely, that's true.
So that intrigued me, and you remember we had quite a hard time getting her because she's very busy. I think she's busy with other things, and but I really, I think you pursued her to be sure that we could come to her studio, and I really appreciate that you did, because I really wanted her in the show. I really wanted everybody, because I just felt it's really no point. We can make a strong show, and we can have everybody in that show.
It sure emphasizes diversity, right?
Yes, I mean that's the strong element of having these studios. That there's so much experimentation going on in so many different arenas and thinking. So, and it I wanted to show that, as opposed to let's have a theme and then wrap, let's have an idea and wrap everything around that. No, the most important thing is to go for the strong work and then come up. What does this actually represent? What can we do with that? That has actually always been my curatorial approach. Go for the strongest work that you can find.
But then you have the problem of trying to bring it all together and hanging it in the same space.
Yeah, but you see, that's where I trust my. There I say that's where I trust my instinct, that I can find the underlying the thread. I have to trust myself. But today I was on my way over. I was actually thinking about. We just had this flood in New York, and I was thinking about the flood, and then I was thinking about Peter's piece.
It sort of is like a flood. That piece.
So that piece, ever since that, since the flood, I just, it's really kind of an apocalyptic situation, and it wasn't that scary really. When we were hanging it, I mean, of course I picked it because it's a very, very strong image. It's in a very clean lines and very classical in a way. However, it has that scary undertone where you don't know what actually happened in that space. And, of course, the color red and the medium, it just brought it way, way out of the realm of being a classical piece, even though kind of at first glance it had these classical lines. But today, on the way over, I thought about it and said, wow, is that an apocalyptic scenario? There are hundreds of scenarios like that now in New York.
Yeah, it does remind me of something like a flood, that something devastating happened in that room, because there's pieces torn off the wall.
But yet it's had the calm of the lines. It was very
symmetrical.
Symmetrical. The symmetry of the line, certain calmness about it. But this undercurrent was really amazing. So, but very surprised that we put Michael's pieces next to him. Were you surprised?
Well, you pointed out because it was classical imagery also. But it fit.
Yeah. They lived really fine next to each other, I thought.
Maybe the scale too.
The scale, the significant difference in the scales. And Michael's, I I liked his piece a lot because he was really addressing, I don't know, consciously or not, the loss of writing and that we are having in the culture right now with everyone that care for putting something to paper, and of course also had cultural significance. There's two really nice strong pieces. I really liked them.
And his was more delicate and smaller in scale. Nice contrast.
And two of them as opposed to the one. I don't know. Yeah, it was really.
Yeah, he really. The two of them lived really nicely together, and I really liked that we were able to stack them. And surely they could have hung side by side, but the stacking worked out great for him. Anne Macmillan. Yeah, she was also very. I walked into her studio and the painting was still wet. It was really, I think it was still smelling of oil. That is such an emotional, wonderful experience. But the piece really, it's just a beautiful still life. And just the way, that orange, those reds.
And the composition.
The composition is very strong. The white is very luminous, she just really is a very experienced painter, you can really tell.
And having that installation right there.
We had the luxury. We had the luxury of seeing the setup of the still life. That was a great moment. I have to say, I've really enjoyed working with you guys on this. I really have. We had some really good, wonderful moments walking into that studio.
And almost everyone's studio.
Yeah.
So what I'd say about Anna, her studio is close to mine, and she paints like crazy. That's one of the things you do when you have to paint like that. When you're painting semi-realistically or whatever you want to call it, impressionistically or whatever, works and works.
Oh, she does. She does still lifes and landscapes. I think these are the areas she pursues. Content, very delicate. Content, very, very, very insightful. Barbara Gunter. Yeah, I've followed her work for a long time, and yes, she did. We selected the monotype, and she was really gracious about it, and I really liked what she has been doing for a long time. Many are much more strict, organized, rationally organized spaces, and this is something more free than I'm used to seeing from her. So I really liked it, and it was really painterly the way she got that monotype very painterly.
The monotype, I'm a printmaker too, so the monotype is a very freeing kind of medium.
Freeing, yeah.
Yes, freeing,
yeah.
And it's very.
Well, she actually lifted. Yeah.
That's true. And so it's she's using it in that respect, and I love it for that reason.
Oh,
and there's so many
monotypes.
Well, you could go from photographic monotypes to painterly to there's so many ways to go in monotype, and I've seen many types that Barbara plays with as well. So you play with the ghost, you play with the original image that you put on the plate, you play with the you just go on and on and on, and you're building and you're growing and adding.
Yeah, I think she was very happy with that output.
I think so.
She used to do structures and buildings.
Yeah, I love that freedom. I love that freedom.
And now it's the plant form, I guess, and the
tree,
the tree outside her window.
Yeah. I mean, she had worked with the medium for a long time, but the topic is entirely different.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me a feeling of a lithograph too, because it's very drawing-ish painter. Both anyway, the black and white quality.
And then next to her was Steve Kaiser. Yeah, his photograph looked like a drawing, didn't it?
Yes, so kept mentioning that. It was a very delicate drawing. It will look like a very delicate drawing.
Yeah. Here again, I think that's what appealed to me, that he achieved that, with a gelatin solder print, the traditional But would you agree that all his other, most of his other work is more delineated?
Right. This was a very subtle piece, and it just looked like graphite drawing, and just really delicate.
Yeah. You know, he has done some other sand dune work, but nevertheless, what I liked about this, it was not giving away that it was taken from nature. It was really pushing into really nicely into abstraction.
That's what I would have said. I would have said that I couldn't tell you what it was, really.
Yeah.
But the other thing, when there's sand, you know it's sand.
Yeah,
You can tell the waves of the sand.
And you know, that's something that surely that's fine with me. He titled it, Death Valley number such and such. It's okay, but sometimes I think it's nice not to give it away.
Definitely.
Yeah. But because I think he probably has quite a body of work, Death Valley work, so I think, you know, he likes to keep things into a series.
It's funny, it brings to mind that you will keep looking at it though, like something like that. You just keep on looking, you think surely it's a photograph. I can place this thing, and it just kept on eluding you, you know, it's kind of fascinating.
I see here Lois Anderson. Remember when we went to her studio?
Yes.
Yeah.
We were all looking at other things.
Was it felt or fabric that she's working
yes,
on?
And books.
Yeah.
She's making her own books.
Books, but she did the books also with not paper. She did some. She used other materials, again unusual materials. But then we came upon the Knowledge Factory. Wasn't it? This was such an intriguing piece. The way it's really a conceptual piece, really. Yeah. So it's a very strong piece, and you found a wonderful way to hang it, because we were very concerned, because she had tied with those cotton strings, and those, you know, they're very giving. We were not sure, you know, how we're going to handle that. But you found a way of attaching the monofilament, so the whole
very delicate.
So the piece did not get distorted from hanging, because we were concerned about that.
I think that was a concern for many of the pieces, that because of the hanging limitations, that we don't make the monofilament part of the piece.
Then they have created the distortion.
Right.
No, that was really well done. You did a beautiful job with that.
You did, yeah. Taking that into consideration, sure.
Amy Hips. You know, I had seen that piece actually when at Open Studios, and it really gave me a charge. That piece really gave me a charge. It's an object, and the shape, it's you know, it the simple shape, but the material itself really carried so much charge. I don't know if you felt that about it, but I certainly felt about that redwood. It had so many layers. It just was just a very charged piece. How can a piece of wood be charged? But it is. It really was a charged piece. And then that delicate silk, you know.
Contrast.
The contrast was amazing.
Just tied very delicately
and simply. It was really almost a religious, you know. It was really kind of almost, you know, bordering onto a very religious icon. Yes. Yeah.
When I hadn't seen the piece, and she delivered it to me, and I was trying
to
figure out how to hang each piece before we took it down. I opened the box and started closing it. It was just so powerful that I just couldn't touch it for a while.
Isn't that interesting?
So I worked on others, and then finally.
What I do know about that piece, because I shared a studio with Amy, is that it's a very personal piece.
Oh, it is.
Very personal. I think that
maybe that personal charge, but she clearly translates it. She clearly translates it. But you see, it is a case again. You don't need to know what that personal circumstance is, but she was able to translate that. Julia Nelson. She really creates a surreal scenario, and that was just a very strong. Those two were very, very strong pieces. Yeah.
Both of them, yes.
Yeah,
Very,
yeah,
very strong.
yeah.
Well, visually and there's a lot to think about when you see the connections.
Black pearl tea. Well, it's actually incommunicato. Yeah, yeah. Well, they actually have different messages, but they both, have a very strong surreal message. The black tea was also, it's really an environmental piece also, but you don't really think of it that way, because it's has that surreal quality. It's very often pieces that address the environment are done with different materials. They don't take on that mode. Yeah. It's really. Speaking of environmental pieces, Linda's. That I really, clearly she addresses the environment, and I would really like to see these pieces. One of those manipulation in nature that she does. Really installation in the desert. I would really like to see a larger photograph of that. I know she has them. She has any largest. She didn't. Well, that's what she had, and I think I've gotten quite interesting comments back from her piece. Yes.
Well, she really lives what she does. Like she goes out and she hikes and she does all kinds of things. She's very much an outdoors.
It's very interesting. I'm just going into these studios. Many of them I had never been there. With some I had, but. And they just really go for what's strong there, And it's kind of interesting to work backwards to find out later with what the artists are about, what they're.
That's her primary focus, I think, the environment. That was done in the desert, right?
Ulla, shall we talk about Ulla? The emotional aspect of that piece, what touched me, is the size, what it really projects, a very small person. It was really, for the kind of thing it is, it doesn't really fit on any human being, that way. It would actually have to, frankly, be a newborn, put a newborn in something like that. So it had that projection, just very fine, a very, very fine craft piece.
There's an element of time in there too, I guess, because the material that you would put on a newborn is probably not that kind of material anymore, is it?
Yeah, no, yes. Also, I don't think it was meant that way. Although we didn't talk to her about that,
I did have one for my grandchild. So
oh, you did?
But it was it was more.
It's
a treasure.
It's a treasure.
It's a silver cup.
Yes, it is.
Memorable.
No, it's really not necessarily an object of that you practical object. And she did a beautiful job with the colors. I think some of it she does her own dyeing.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm sure.
Yes. And sometimes she does her own yarn. What do you call it? Spinning.
She might. She does everything.
Yeah, that's a big process when you do that.
I don't think she gets a sheet around.
But your piece, Colleen, really helped down there.
Well, it's in a white frame. That helps.
Yeah, the white
background.
and then huge energy in that figure.
It's a big piece. Not considering Peter's, but considering the other pieces.
Yeah, but even in spite of, it's not really a huge piece, but it really contained a lot of energy in that actually very contained area. Yeah, it's a very strong piece.
It finished the wall, didn't it? Yeah, it was the last piece.
Yeah. But of course, whatever it would stand, it stands alone. It doesn't have to be, what do you call it? The person who swims last,
the combination of the energy and the structure
of the figure.
Yes.
Well, it's done in a spontaneous way, so that it's almost like something that's ongoing. You chop it and take a piece out, and that's the spontaneity. Spontaneity comes from the ongoing doing many of them, and then ending up with one piece that really works and a lot that don't.
That was a great moment. I have to say, I've really enjoyed working with you guys on this. I really have. We had some really good, wonderful moments walking into that studio.
And almost everyone's studio.